This is Boxing Tickets, and we are delighted to be joined all the way in Australia once again with the bomber Owen Corrigan. How are you, Owen?
I'm all good, Steve. How are you?
I'm fantastic. I guess it's our first sort of chat of 2025. Obviously, we'd have obviously a couple towards the end of the year, obviously with your fight, and then obviously afterwards. But like for you, probably the last couple of months maybe been frustrating, obviously for you in a bit because you said obviously you wanted to get out sooner, obviously, if you could. Obviously, we know we'd obviously match him over in Australia and things like that. And you sort of going, could it work here? You obviously sold the pile of tickets, brought atmosphere. So you've had your second pro fight sort of coming up now, probably longer than you probably thought you might have been out of the ring.
Yeah, definitely. So the last pro fight was end of November. I kind of wanted to get back in January, just keep as active as I could. But sure, we had to wait till March. There was no real other shows with the promotion on. But I'm just happy to be back in the ring now. Eventually in March. I've had the fight lined up since before Christmas. I've been training pretty much since then. I think now the second part of the year is going to be very active. I'm hoping to get out another two, three times maybe.
The obviously you're back to the same arena obviously that you were in the last time. Like you've obviously probably had a lot of time to sort of look back obviously on your professional debut. Like I guess you've that sort of you know overdrive sort of kicks in at the fact that afterwards you're going, let me in again, let me in again. You've sort of time to, I guess, with obviously Dan and stuff like that in the gym, you sort of time to sort of dwell on sort of things maybe done good, things you done bad, and still continue your learning phase. Because at this stage, obviously, you're only getting to your second professional fight. So a lot of this new, professional stuff's still all new to you at this stage.
Oh, 100%, yeah. I watched back the last fight many times now, and I'll be honest with you, I'm not overall happy with all the stuff. I I think there's things I could have done a lot better. I probably won't dive into it much deeper because it's definitely what we're working on. The opponent wise, we realistically it was a great night because we scored like a debut win and a debut knockout. But I would have liked to have maybe someone to test me a bit more. Um, my next opponent now, he will test me a bit more because we know he's 6 foot. He's light heavy. He's had two wins. He's had one loss, but the one loss was to a guy who fought Peter Chudinov for world titles shortly after. So he's a well skilled boxer. I've seen his fights. We're taking him as serious as we can. So yeah, we've been working away in the gym, practicing our simple things, just going over the basics. But it's the basics that take you all over the world. So hopefully, come our second fight, March 14th, will be a lot better fight than we were the first time round.
I guess for you, in some ways, obviously, your last opponent, obviously, you quite a difference in size and height over him. Obviously, it's good for you at the fact you're probably going to get a fighter that's close to your height, so that obviously you're not having to, I guess it's probably more annoying for you when obviously you're having to get sparring partners in because of the height difference. You're having to get sparring partners in that's smaller in weight, but obviously that height, so you can actually have sparring partners now it's around the same weight as you rather than different weight classes.
Oh, definitely. Like I'm a big light heavy. Like I am very big for the weight. I'm 6 foot three. Like it's quite tall for a light heavyweight. But I, at my disposal for sparring really is mainly heavyweights and cruiserweights. There's a few welterweights and middleweights in the gym, but like you don't want to be getting too used to sparring guys of that weight. But I'm blessed. Like in fairness, there's a few guys in the gym that have been doing kind of like technical sparring, like maybe it's no power, but just more technical moves that have been really really beneficial to me. And then when we are doing the hard sparring, I'm sparring the heavier guys, which is great because if you can, you can mix it with the heavier guys and you can school it with the lighter guys. It creates more of a complete boxer. So I'm lucky in a sense.
You're coming up a year, about Craig, coming up a year now. You're in Australia.
Yeah, it's madness. I arrived in Australia 13th of March last year. Arrived about, I say, got off the plane about midnight. I had no data or nothing on the phone. Found my way to accommodation with my mate. Two of us had no data, so we were using stopping off in garages to ask for directions to the place. But we got there about 3 a.m. in the morning, and then the next day I went to the gym at about midday, 12 o'clock in the day. I met my coach Dan I have now, and I met basically the gang there on the ring fit, and since then I've been just training hard. So very first thing I did in Australia was walking to a boxing gym, and it's kind of mad now because 14th of March will be one year pretty much on the day since I joined up with Dan and landed in Australia, and I had my second pro fight.
Second pro fight, but it'll actually be your fifth fight in total. Is that correct? So you have 3 amateur fights
Oh
there,
yeah,
and
yeah.
so I guess when you sort of look at it, the time you sort of come to fight night, a year and a day in Australia, second professional fight, 5 fights in total. You're obviously happy with how things have started for you in Australia.
100%. And even in terms of 3 amateur fights I had, they're a good caliber of fighters. I've basically the two finalists of the WA state finals this year and last year. I beat them both unanimous. I fought in the Australian Championships. I didn't turn up on the day, but I got beaten by a good boxer that I'm sure I'd beat on another day. And then there was all for the experience to go and turn professional eventually, and which we've done, and which we did well. Regardless of who turned up in the opposite corner, like my job was to beat them, go out and get rid of them, and I did. So yeah, so then come 14th of March, then I'm confident in my abilities. I can put on another good performance and take it off and go and celebrate.
What sort of change for you in the style of, do you think of like the 3 amateur fights you've had in the last year, and you're now getting your second professional fight? Like, what's changed for you as a boxer? Because I think we spoke about this before, but like amateur boxing, professional boxing is completely two different sports. Which is weird in a way. Like, what much has changed for you? Like, I know that you've always sort of had a pro style. Like, what sort of changed for you I guess it's hard to know within 2 rounds of being a pro so far, but like, what sort of changed for you in your style?
Well, one thing I used to switch a lot more. I used to go between southpaw and orthodox. I think it was more of a lack of discipline. Kind of just went into my own little thing that we just switch whenever I want. Where now is I try to stay orthodox as much as I can. I'm a lot more settled. I'm a very proud kind of fighter, as in if I get hit with a big shot, I want to come back straight away and hit them with 2 shots. Whereas now, you got more rounds. If you're going to be doing that, you're going to be kind of gassing the tank a bit more. You're going to get hit. It's a game of getting hits. So that's one of the things we're working on, was when you get hit, don't go rushing back. Just settle, relax. You'll get your shot in 10 seconds, 20 seconds. Just don't be rushing your shots. Don't be smothering your work. So there's definitely differences. Just slowing it all down rather than trying to cram all your shots into the first half of the round. Just taking your time, being patient.
There's not only you, obviously, as an Irish fighter, obviously on the card on the 14th of March. You obviously Benny Foland, obviously originally from Naas, obviously making his comeback. Like, I think the last time he fought was 2019. So I guess it's good for you, and the fact that another Irish fighter on the card, but you'll probably still want to make a statement in the regard that you want to be the one that's remembered on the card more than Benny. You don't want Benny stealing your spotlight from you stealing the show the last time around. You don't want an Irish fighter coming in and stealing the show for their fight.
Yeah, 100%. Obviously, that works right in your brain for a few minutes. But you know what? It'd be great because they celebrate St. Patrick's Day here on the 15th, because obviously it's not a bank holiday. So you know what? It'd be great to have just as many Irish as we can in the place, because it just makes it louder, and it creates a better atmosphere for when I am in the ring and for when Vinny is in the ring. So fingers crossed he gets the job done too.
Definitely, obviously, I'll make it well. Obviously, in your weight class, obviously light heavyweight, obviously we just had obviously the Riyadh card there at the weekend, and like, what an advert for you as obviously as a 175 fighter, when you Beterbiev and Bivol having a war, Callum Smith and Boatsi having a war, like you're the perfect weight class everybody's talking about at the moment. So I guess you were tuned in, sort of watching both of them fights and sort of trying to learn something from them fights, but in some ways them fights are hard to learn from, because you just sit there and all watching it, going, "Wow, what a fight!"
Yeah, definitely. When I watch a fight live, I never really study from it, but it's when I watch them again two or three times, I learn a lot more. Like I'm, there's a few fighters in the 175 division that I'm watching a lot, just because I like the way that they box. Like I'll be watching a lot of Ben Whitaker. I'll never fight like him. I've no interest in fighting like that. But I watched a few Liam Cameron's fight. I actually watched the Lyndon Arthur Liam Cameron fight last night, and that's a good fight to learn from. I'm a big fan of Caleb Plant as well, Benavides, and then obviously the two at the top, Beterbiev and Bivol. And I think yeah, at the top end of the weight now, there's some cracking lineups as well as for Conor Wallace to slip in too. You know, you never know what way the belts will be dispersed, but for lads like myself that are coming up, the more belts they're getting dispersed, the better, because it means the lads that have the belts ahead of me, those belts will be getting dispersed, and there's opportunities there for everyone.
Yeah, I think if obviously from what you're sort of saying there, if Beterbiev and Bivol decide, I know Bivol said he's a few injuries and he might need a bit of time to decide, but I know the IBF are the stickler amongst most, and they probably won't allow another fight for obviously all the belts. So Conor Wallace is number two with the IBF, so it looks like potentially his next fight could be for a world title. Like, is that maybe something that you're ticking off your list? That maybe you can get sparring with someone like Conor, obviously over there, because he's based all his career in Australia. He's built connections. He's good sparring partners and stuff like that. I guess as time goes on for you, it'd be good for you to potentially maybe link in with Conor and get a few rounds or find obviously decent level sparring so you can sort of copycat the same sort of way he's went.
Yeah, 100% is something we're looking at after this camp heading over to us there. There in Brisbane, which is like a 5.5 hour flight away from us. So it's something we are looking into going over for a week or a weekend and just catching as many rounds as we can with likes of Wallace. And there's a few other 175, 168s and cruiserweights around we could spar. Um, I know Dennis Hogan is also over in Brisbane. He'd be a great guy to meet up with, and you know, he's been at the top of the mountain as a world champion. He's one that I've always looked up to. So it'd be great to catch up with him and just get as much advice as possible. When it comes to lads like Wallace and Hogan and whoever else, you know, I'm a sponge. I'll soak up as much information as I can. At the end of the day, all you want to do is learn as much as you can, because that's the only way you're going to get to be the best you can. You know.
Yeah, you just have to be a sponge and just try and get as much information as possible. I guess the problem is making sure you don't get information overload where you get too much, where you then forget how to box yourself because you're going, they told me this and they told me this, and you got so many things going on in your head, you just don't know which one to implement.
Sorry, Steve, you broke up there.
I was just saying that that obviously you can learn so much information from so many people that you could have information overload where you just don't know which one to go with. I guess you look for wee tips on how people do things in certain situations.
100%. You know, like especially in boxing, you know, how many people do you know sit at home and you know they're just shouting at the TV what they would have done and what they should be doing, but reality is they don't know anything. Like it's the only sport in the world where you can become a professional, you can become a professional coach, manager, promoter, fighter without having any accolades to do it. Like so, you really have to be sure, like, be confident in who you're listening to. Like my rule is when I'm in a fight or I'm sparring or whatever, and you hear people shouting, "Do this, do that," don't listen to them. Only listen to my coaches and no one else. But in regards of building a career and whatever, like you want to look at the guys that have been there and done it, have been around people and have done it, and just take their tips, take their information, because you never know when you might need it. You know.
Yeah, and that's the thing with this sport. Like the crazy thing about this sport as well is, you share sparring, you share a few rounds of somebody sparring, and then obviously they're helping they coach and develop you at the same time. They're going, when you're in this position, hold your hand in this way. Like everybody's trying to help everybody, which is great about a sport, which is so dangerous that people are actually trying to help everybody else so that more people can achieve the goals that they have in the sport.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Like I'm lucky in a sense. The WA heavyweight state heavyweight champion trains us Lewis Clark, and he's been great for me in terms of how to promote myself, who to be talking to, what different routes I should go. Because Joe, like I'm not far off now that I want to be pushing for regional titles. So his advice has been great. But even in terms of myself, like we got like young lads in the gym, like that they're always looking for advice. They want to go whatever route, and I just you always give it two pence, because it's a game, it's a lonely sport, and you need as much people around you as possible. So it you give what you get. So it's much information you give out, you'll get the same information back.
Your opponent, obviously, Liang Wang, obviously, in just over 2 weeks' time. Like, what do you know of him, obviously, other than height? Like, obviously, he's been inactive for a couple of years. He's 2-1. Like, 66% of his fights have been stopped. He's stopped someone and he's been stopped. Do you sort of play? Are you hoping to go the 4 round distance, Owen, or I guess it's all right in planning for things like what in your head, what would you like? Would you like 4 rounds of development? If a stoppage comes, like for you, obviously, how are you sort of fixed at the moment? You're thinking of the fight, you're going, I'm going to stop this guy, or I want 4 good rounds of development.
As a fighter, I'd love to go over and just first punch a throat to knock him out. As a skilled, educated man, I would much prefer him to come out and push me for 4 rounds and then maybe hopefully break him down and get the knockout. I'd never go looking for a knockout because it never comes when you go looking for it. But I want to be tested. I want to learn. I've seen him box. He is a good skilled boxer. I know he's been inactive. I don't know if he's had unlicensed fights in the past few years or not. The guy he lost to was a good boxer. Like I said earlier, he fought Fedor Chudinov shortly after for a world title. Um, I just have to be ready. I've done my homework. I've done my research. We have a game plan in the gym. I'm going to stick to it. And if that delivers a knockout, happy days. I'll be more than happy. If we win by points, more than happy again. The objective is to win, and that's what we're going in there to do.
The support, I guess, you're having sort of both sides sort of growing. Obviously, you're building a fan base in Australia, and obviously you have people back home. Like, do you sort of still have to pinch yourself at some moments to go, where people back home sort of messaging things like that, or the base is growing in Australia? Are you still sort of having to pinch yourself and go, does this feel real or does this feel like a dream?
Ah, yeah, it's mad. Like a lot of lovely texts coming from back home, and people, a lot of people back home watch me fight, and they're tuning in, and they're always giving me support, and that means everything. Like that means a lot to me. And then even over here, Irish people when they're abroad, they all stick together, and they really came out and in support for me, and in the way boxing is. You need a fan base. You need people turn up at your fights to get the opportunities. But yeah, it's crazy because I got these tops done up, and I got more done up that are arriving tomorrow. And it's even just walking to the shop and you see people wearing your top, or you go to the gym, there's two or three kids wearing your top, and then they were chanting. Oh, I'm not gonna sing it. They were chanting the song at the last fight, and then the odd time you might see them on the street, whatever, and they're chatting out. But yeah, no, it's good people, and I never say me because I say we because it when you hear that support at a fight, like it makes you a different person. It makes you 10 feet tall and feel strong because it's like in a second person just driving you on all the time. So I'm 100% grateful for every single bit of support I get.
You'll not sing the song obviously on this, but I'm sure when obviously the interview goes live and everybody else in the ringside members group see it, they'll be wanting you to sing it out. So you might get a bit of banter, and obviously our WhatsApp group for people wanting you to sing in there. So you'll happily sing without you being recorded with your face in it as well.
I'll be putting the chat on mute.
I guess obviously finally obviously your former obviously your teammate obviously in Dublin, Kevin Cronin obviously fight the same weekend as you. Guess the good thing for you is your fights can be done and dusted. You'll probably have something to eat. You'll celebrate, and then obviously on the Sunday, then I think it'll still work out Sunday for you. I'm not sure what timings are in Australia to America, but obviously Kevin obviously has a rematch with Emmet Brennan. Madison Square Garden. Who would have thought? Like what a place for him to fight.
Yeah, 100%. Joe, it falls perfect. I'll be sitting down having my breakfast and I'll be watching Kevin Cronin beat Emmet Brennan. It's a huge fight for him. It's obviously Madison Square Garden alone is a great experience, but he needs to win this fight. And Emmett's a great guy to go up against because he's a great dance partner. But I'll always believe Kevin Cronin will beat him. I believed he bet him last time. It's just the way I scored it. But fingers crossed, Kevin gets it over the line, and with 2 wins for us that weekend.
But definitely, John will obviously be a happy man that weekend. Then obviously, if you win, obviously on the Friday, and then obviously Kevin wins on the Sunday. Obviously, it'll be a perfect weekend. But look, I know obviously for you, timings wise, obviously it's later on in the evening. It's just approaching 1 o'clock here in Belfast. It's a lot later for you in Australia. But thanks for coming on and having a chat with us. Obviously, enjoy your last week or so of camp before you're sort of tapering in the fight week. But I'm sure we'll be tuned in as always, and we can't wait to see you back in action.
All right, but thanks, mate, for having me on, Steve. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure, Owen. Sure, look, we'll catch up with you soon.
100%. God bless.
All right, cheers. Take care. Thanks. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye.